Good morning. Betting for breakfast, Saturday edition. Sun's out, funds are out. Let's drop them in our favorite sports betting app. I'm Mark Drumheller with Fox Sports The Gambler. I'm here with my man, Dave Glecter. Dave, it is just a gorgeous day. It's tailgating weather. I had to grab myself a cold beer and get ready.
Oh, nice. Look at you starting early. I like it. I'm going to have one
A
in a
little
few
wizard
minutes here.
beer. The wizard's got to have a wizard beer. You know what I mean? You put me
Yeah, I
on for
love
that.
that.
It's a delicious beverage.
Well, I'm going to start with a little hot toddy real fast from the players. But yeah, I'm with you. I'll catch up. Man, it's going to be a good day. You got some great college basketball starting quick, too, at 11 today. But then really the big ones start hitting at 1. You got a great day. Golf, FCS, NBA's back, baby. Well, NHL, it's still there.
Absolutely, it's all you can eat on the board today. I mean, we got some UFC tonight, right? Not the biggest, most high profile card, but you have Leon Edwards, welterweight contender in the main event. So ton going on, like you said, Players Championship, everything. But the real story, it's March. And the real story is March Madness, right? You can't deny it. Everybody's pumped up. Everyone's starting to, get ready for Selection Sunday so they can start to fill up their brackets. And that just leads to so many betting opportunities. There's not a more exciting time this time of year than college basketball, March Madness. It doesn't get any better. We were robbed of it last year, but we're back this year, baby.
Yeah, it's awesome. And, what's beautiful about the tournament, usually it circles around that little March 17th. It's not too far off. You get a little St. Patty's Day next week. And then you follow it right up with some lunchtime basketball tournament action. It's going to be just a great week. And this week is already kind of starting to lead up to that hype. I thought it was interesting. And I think you've seen it and we've all seen it. I mean, first big news, Duke's not going to make the tournament. They were trying to make a little run there in the ACC tournament, but then fell a little short when they came down with a case of COVID inside their program, and that pretty much all but eliminated them. They're looking at the last 4 out, maybe even the second 4 out now that you get some upsets in some other areas. So it's highly unlikely they make the tournament, which is huge news. Something that we haven't probably seen in our lifetime, Drums. And then COVID itself.
I'll tell you what. I talked about it a little bit with Sean Brace yesterday on Fox Sports The Gambler, and my perspective is this, with this situation is when we had the restart, and granted, things are a lot better now. Luckily, we're very close to getting back to normal. Vaccines are rolling out. Everybody's much more healthier. But, when we were begging for sports to come back, and we said, hey, just try and play. And if things go sideways, they go sideways. We're seeing that here. It kind of sucks that it's happening so close to the finish line, but it is what it is. The show goes on. This is March Madness. If some teams got to, catch a bad beat, they catch a bad beat. That's part of life.
It really is. What I think is, in a way, a little bit amazing is you play the whole season. Yeah, you had some games here and there, December, January, but Duke's been playing pretty clean. So these other teams like Kansas last couple weeks and months here. And then the conference tournament, when you kind of get out of that, your little home bubble or your travel bubble, and you get to a more open place, these things start hitting. And Virginia Tech, Virginia hit them in the ACC too. So multiple teams there. So I'm really nervous at how that's going to what's going to happen in the tournament. But like you said, show must go on, right?
Yeah, show goes on. Going to be a lot of variance, right? There's going to be some unpredictability, but that's why we love March Madness. We're going to get it in, overdrive, I feel like, this year, because you never know what to expect. And it's like you really can't get down on these games until probably you get closer to tip-off, because you don't know what's going to happen at the last minute. We went through that with football. A lot of unpredictability at the last minute. Saturday, some COVID things, they had to reschedule, move some games around. But it's an exciting time, and I'm just so thankful that we have it. We got the rug pulled out from under us last year right before the tournament. So I'm excited that the show is going on, to be honest with you. I cannot wait for Selection Sunday, fill out my bracket, get busy, look at all these betting opportunities, because I got a couple teams I'm already looking to fade. So I'm hoping that they do well this weekend, to kind of beef up that price. And that way I can just come in and slam the dog.
So talk about calls. If you've been tracking conference tournaments and such so far, we're seeing a lot of variance. I'll start with, I'll go over the local scene, Colonial Athletic Association, the CAA. Drexel shows up as what I think they were the 6th seed and ends up winning that conference. They were playing the 8th seed, Elon, in the conference finals. So, you're just seeing And that's the fact when you only play about 8 to 10 conference games in some of these smaller conferences, the separation is so tiny. It really, 60 may not really be a 60 if you were to stretch it out a little longer. So you've seen a lot of variants. I mean, look at the Big 12. Oklahoma State, the shocking upset, 2 in a row, West Virginia, then Baylor. Really good team, great team. Who knows? But that, Cade Cunningham, when you have a star like that. So what I've seen so far, dogs are really alive in this conference tournament. I think it's going to make next week even more fun. Those brackets are going to be a mess.
Yeah, they are going to be a mess, and that's just the way I like it, right? Lots of unpredictability, have some fun. That's the beauty of March Madness. But like you said, I mean, every year we see some of these stars, you talked about Cade Cunningham, some of these stars just kind of carry their teams deep into the tournament. So that's going to lead to even more excitement. Dan Green checking in. Morning, guys. Morning, my man, Dan. Yo, let's get these Flyers turned around, Dan. The Flyers not looking very good lately. They've been kind of letting us down, but hopefully they can turn things around. I know Dan does a great job analyzing all that on the Flyer and Ice show that he does at Heat Ratio Sports. But back to college basketball.
They got some good stuff on there. They just got to cancel the Caps. Just stay away from the Caps. Yep. We're good.
Yeah, stay away from that team, man. It's just, I never liked that team, to be honest with you. Even when I was a kid, they used to have Dale Hunter. Oh, man, I hated the old Capitals. But let's get back to college hoops. And you're breaking up a little bit, Dave. Let's get into college hoops. We're going to talk about, let's get with Michigan, Ohio State. I think that's one of the marquee games of the day. You have 2 Big Ten teams, right at the top of the food chain. A lot of people expect both these teams to go very far in the tournament. What are you seeing when you look at this game? What is going to be the keys, you think, for both teams if they're going to come out victorious?
Well, first off, I'll take the Michigan side. And there's a little bit of, I wouldn't call it a distraction, but the way that Juwan Howard handled things last night against Maryland was a little bit, really a distraction after the game. It wasn't talking about how Michigan advanced to the semifinals and how they're the number 1 seed in the Big Ten tournament. It's talking about how their coach tried to go to another coach and got double teased and thrown out. Maybe that's a good thing, though. Maybe that takes a little bit of the steam off this Michigan team that is trying to win the Big Ten, is trying to potentially secure a number 1 seed. So I'm really going to be interested to see where their focus is starting today. They're the better team. Obviously, Ohio State was 12-8 in conference. They had some good wins, but really they leaked oil down the stretch. So really, I'm looking how Michigan starts this game. I think that's really, really important.
Yeah, I like Michigan here as well. I'm going to be honest with you. Ohio State is one of those teams I alluded to earlier. I'm going to be looking to fade them in the tournament, to be honest with you. I think they're a team that is a little bit overrated on the defensive end. I think their defense gets a little too much credit because they play such a tough schedule in the Big Ten. And I think when push comes to shove in this tournament, they're going to struggle defensively against some of the teams. And if they run into, we'll find out Selection Sunday, if they run into a team with a high-octane offense in that first-round matchup, could be upset city.
Yeah, and I mean, I just love the matchups that Michigan has, right? Their freshman center, Hunter Dickinson. He had a tremendous game earlier in the season. 22 points. He averages 14 on the season. He's held to 7 last night, and they still dominated Maryland. So I really think the focus needs to be for Michigan to take advantage of that size mismatch and what about their Ohio State defense. If Michigan's able to pound that ball down low, get easy buckets, and be able to set up their defense on the back end, I like them. They're 6-point fave. I like Michigan well in this game. I'm not a big Ohio State guy, like you said. They lost 4 straight coming into this Big Ten tournament. Yeah, they beat Minnesota. Yeah, they beat Purdue. Took to overtime. But I'm not back on board yet. I think there's some real issues with this team.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think Michigan's definitely the play today in that matchup. I think, Ohio State is a team I'm looking to fade, and I think their struggles are going to start today. I just think Michigan, better team on paper, in a matchup like this. I like them. Here I'm going to be betting Michigan for sure. I think Michigan, too, also, when I look at it, when you think of longevity in the tournament, a team that can go further, I think it's definitely the Michigan Wolverines have that at all the teams in the Big Ten. I think that they probably have the most likelihood of where they can really make some noise deep into the tournament. Illinois obviously right in that mix as well. If there's another team, I'd probably look at Illinois. They have a huge matchup today as well, Dave, against Iowa. And that's another thing. I think Iowa's another team not strong enough defensively to really handle these top echelon teams in the tournament.
Yes, I don't disagree with that. My thing with, we talked about it a little bit earlier. As we transition, we'll talk about the other semifinal matchup in the Big Ten now. And you look at what makes March, and a lot of times it's stars. And obviously, Luke Garza is a complete star for Iowa. He's going to be a big pick in the NBA next year. Well, we're going to see there's so many different names, but potential lottery for sure. He's got the skills. They're already talking about retiring his number. He's been Mr. Iowa. And if you can center your game around him against the right matchups, they can go somewhere. Can they win it? No. But Illinois, there's a team that has – you're right. Early in the season, I think they were ranked in the top 2 or 3. But then they hit a bump there in January. But since then, I mean, the blowout win in Michigan was it was tremendous. And then they did the same, I think, with Ohio State. Their team rise and ride. And, you it's over. They are fast. They convert fast breaks. They create havoc. They're good, man. They're really good.
Yeah, they're really good, and they're getting healthy at the right time. Illinois is definitely a team I think that can make some noise. That matchup with Iowa, it's going to be interesting. When I look at Iowa, I see a team that just leans heavily on Garza, and that's really in a game against a team like Illinois. I just don't know if that's going to work. I think Illinois has enough weapons to exploit them. I like them today. Do you have any idea of what you think of the total on this one?
To push it. I think they like that run, and I would lean towards the over in this one.
Yeah.
I'm a little reluctant on the number, though. The number seems light to me. I don't know. I don't know if it does to you. 3.5. I just think they're that much better of a team. The number scares me a little bit.
Yeah.
I lean with the number in a very close game, and then I like the over.
How much do you think of the number has to do with just the overall fact that we've seen dogs be so successful, and that maybe there is kind of like it's the conference tournament. It's not that it's not important to these teams, but really March Madness is what they're looking ahead to. I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to think of why this number seems a little bit light.
Yeah, I don't know either, and I think Illinois can beat Iowa by 5. Back then, I mean, you've already had some history where they would have covered a 3.5. It may be somewhat of that dog mentality that we've referenced earlier, and how they've had so much success. And it just looks fishy to me. I can't give a good explanation. It just looks a little light.
Yeah. And another game we have in the conference tournament. Let's move on. Georgia Tech and Florida State. Florida State, getting sneaking by North Carolina last night at the last minute. Very close game down to the wire. I know Florida State is a team that you've kind of followed for a little while now. What do you think their prospects are today against Georgia Tech?
It's funny, and I'm glad you brought up this matchup. For people that may not follow Florida State down the ACC, they've been one of the top 2 teams in that conference all year. Hit a little bit of a down stretch going into the conference tournament here. But let me equate or give you a perspective on Florida State. I've read a really good piece on them the other day, and people call them Villanova of the South this year. And what they mean by that is they are a very, very good 3-point shooting team. But that can also be their downfall because they fall in love with that shot. So a team like Villanova, we all know, didn't match up size-wise versus Kansas or Oklahoma. But they were efficient, and they could stroke the ball, and that's how you beat really good teams. Florida State has that potential. Probably not, tear down the Nets potential, but could they get hot enough to get to a Final Four? Absolutely. So it's interesting when you bring the team like Georgia Tech tonight that plays a little bit different, a little bigger, a little slower. This game is also very interesting to me. It's 2 different styles. I actually like Florida State in this one. I feel like it's theirs to take. 4.5 points. They didn't really get too hot against North Carolina last night, but they came back. That was the key. They had a nice lead.
Mm-hmm.
North Carolina takes it back, and Florida State doesn't relent. I think this is their year. Listen, last year they got robbed. So did Dayton. So did other teams. But Florida State was one of the best teams in the nation last year. They were number one in ACC. I think this is their year to take it. So I like them tonight.
Nice. So you're on Florida State in this one. I know a lot of people are kind of riding the dog in Georgia Tech. But I think, when you see these dogs kind of play out and, I think people get a little carried away with that. You really have to look at the matchups and try and figure out who has the advantage, who's going to have the motivation, So I might tail you in this one on the Seminoles. Any other games on the card today that you got your eye on that you see an edge when you look at these numbers?
Well, I tell you what, that's why I was trying to bring up the latest lines here. Give me a sec. But, one of the big ones, well, obviously, there's a couple other tournaments wrapping up tonight. The Big East. What is happening in the Big East? You got Georgetown advancing to the final. I mean, we obviously know Villanova wasn't Villanova. But that was a little eye-opening to me. And I got that line right now. Do you got a line on
that? Let's see. For Nova Georgetown? Let me see. I can pull it up. Georgetown Creighton? 9. Georgetown Creighton's 9. 143 and a half is the total.
That's the one I was eyeing up. And it's an interesting situation. Georgetown has won, obviously beat Nova by 1. Had a good win the other night. I think it was Seton Hall. And now they're sitting here in the final where they shouldn't be, with a chance to steal a bid. And that's scary for a couple of these teams on the bubble. I'm big Creighton Blue Jay fans tonight. Can Creighton really take that pressure that's on them right now? They got a little external pressure or internal pressure the way Georgetown. But I do like Creighton tonight with the 9. I think the slip falls off. I think Georgetown has, kind of exhausted their options. They ran the gamut. Patrick Ewing wasn't too happy the other day when they didn't recognize him in Madison Square Garden, but he used that energy to get a couple of wins for his team. I think this is it stops tonight. That's one game.
Yeah, what a disgrace that is. They don't even recognize Patrick Ewing at the Garden anymore. I mean, the guy who really built the Garden, he was just such a prominent figure there with the Knicks. It's just unbelievable. That would happen. But, what are you going to do, man? I don't know. One mistake, and that's all it takes. And, but completely disrespectful to my man, Pat Ewing.
It really was. Hey, you're a big 12 guy, right? So we got Kansas that had to opt out and gave, I guess, Texas the free pass. They got OK State, right?
Mm-hmm.
They got the freight train. You've been fading Texas a little bit. I think you hit on Texas Tech earlier this year. You got any feel on Texas?
I did. I don't like that team in general. So, I mean, I'm not sure if I'm going to play this game, but if I do, I would definitely lean towards the Cowboys here. I just think the freight train keeps going, to be honest with you. It's not something I want to step in front of unless I have a team that I think has a significant edge. I don't see that with Texas. So I would probably play Oklahoma State. I haven't played it yet. But if I were to touch that game, that's definitely the side that I would be looking at.
Yeah, 2.5. So Oklahoma State, deservedly after their wins now, are favored. One other game, just keep an eye on. Probably not touching on my end, but Alabama. Alabama's moved up to 5th or 6th in the nation overall. People might not really be aware of that. Think Alabama is a football school, but this is a damn good basketball team. A little light on the number, I think, against Tennessee today. They had a. We'll have to see where that goes, but Bama is a good team. It's something I want to watch. Not going to bet, because they're a team potentially playing for 1 seed, maybe a 2 seed, probably a 2 seed. But I want to see where they land and where, I think they're a sleeper in the tournament. I'm really interested in Alabama.
Yeah, they could be. They could be. So they could definitely do some damage in the tournament. They're right up in that top tier, of teams, right in the top 10 there. So, roll Tide, man. Like, they don't win enough, right? We talked about Duke, and how, sick at Duke we were growing up and them and all the success they had. But Alabama seems to be doing it now across the sports. Football, obviously, most dominating franchise at Nick Saban. And now Alabama basketball is making a name for themselves this year.
Yeah, they really are. And I think a couple of the guys are joking around over at the Players Tournament this week. John Thomas is having some fun with it. A big Roll Tide guy.
Yeah.
So we're going to see. He's trying to get out of here early today so he can watch it.
Absolutely. But listen, conference championship, it's going to be so much fun. Selection Sunday is going to be incredible. Can't wait to get into March Madness. Definitely going to have some things coming up on that. But let's move over to the Players Championship now. Listen, Wednesday night we debuted the golf show with Chris McGinnis. I had an awesome time there. Some things working out for me, some things are not. The one play that is working out, the over 43.5, the water balls over 43.5, that one hit already. So in good shape there. 17 was just a disaster on day one. We saw them, they moved the hole around a little bit. Players get a little more adjusted. We didn't see the same type of carnage in day two yesterday. How are you feeling about the tournament now? And is there anything live that you're looking to capitalize on?
Yeah, a great point. I mean, it's funny how bad Thursday was. It was that back pin that threw everybody off, and the greens were firm. So it's like trying to attack the pin. You saw more hit the green and roll off and go into the water than you didn't see them coming up short. So it was they were very perplexed by it. It was one of the coolest days if you're in the golf. There's a top zone on 17. It's off to the left that shortens it by about 30, 40 more yards. All experts were saying, don't do the drop zone that day. The angle was too ferocious. Just rotate it. And I think only one person really took that strategy out, but it was carnage that day on 17. You're right. So we'll see. But yeah, a couple of things to try. We talked about Wednesday night. This tournament leads you to so much. You need to bring your whole game. And it's so hard to just take, a top fave like a Rory. If he's not on his game, this course will eat you up. He left at plus 10. And then he comes out saying his swing just totally screwed up because he tried to turn into Bryson. He had a really cool interview yesterday when he was candid and said, I tried to add more speed to my swing. I saw what Bryson did at US Open. Found it past everything. Get a little faster through the rough. But it's really put him in a situation where he's going to have to go back to the drawing board. So, again, what I think about this tournament, it's awesome, but it leads you to a lot of variance. And you're seeing guys in the mid-range with Fitzpatrick and Westwood really have a chance to win today. And you're seeing a lot of Europeans in the mix with just the way the course is playing with the wind. But what I will say, I'm doubling down on John Rahm. He was 5 strokes off the lead coming in today. I know he's played well this tournament before. I thought he caught fire yesterday, going 4 under on his back 9, which was the front 9 with the tougher of the sides. So going to play a little John Rahm 12-1, put some action in on him. And see how that bounces out. I'm still not trusting that Bryson can bomb his way through this course.
Yeah, I just think that, man, is Bryson really going to go back-to-back here on tournaments? That's why you can't really – I'm not really looking at him. Not sure where I'm going to go live now. Listen, Max Homa let me down, had him top 20. That is definitely a miss. I still have Steele in play for the top 30. I think he's even, through the tournament. So we're going to need to see a better effort out of him if he's going to get into that top 30. Thought he was doing well, and then he kind of fell apart down the stretch on day 2, which was a little disappointing because those last 3 holes he hit very well on day 1. As far as the outright winners, I had Answer, who's not bad. I think he's at like -2. Paul Casey up to -4 now. Think that he really could be at like -8. He blew 4 strokes on 17, day 1 on Thursday. And that has really put him in not a bad spot, but it really takes him out of that. He would be right there, top 2 or 3, and he's right, now he's like top 15 or whatnot. But he was part of the carnage on 17. Shot great yesterday, but day 1 lost 4 strokes on 17, and that really killed him because he'd be right up there at minus, at 8 under right now. So I'm hoping that his, day 2 continues throughout the tournament, and he'll be right there in the mix at the end.
Yeah, that's a player again. A team that has played well for one bad hole do it to you here. But one guy I on Cameron Smith is out to 400 today. Keep an eye on with the hair flowing. Him, I did top 10. I'm still thinking about that. That's a wooden chair. Going to really have to cut today. He had 4 ball and 7 yesterday. We're really ruining his moments. So yeah, I don't think it stretches too far out. I think you'll see it end around 11, 12. And we'll have a lot of guys playing today, shaping up for a great season.
Yeah, I mean, it's really going to be, Dave's working on these technical problems right now, but, we apologize for that. But, the Players' Championship is really going to be fun down the stretch. And as it comes to, the best part about these type of 4-day tournaments is the live betting, right? You can take some shots, and that was my strategy going in. I was good. Took some shots with some long shots with Casey, with Answer, wanted to see how they played out. And then you can always bet live. You're not going to get the odds. The odds are going to be much shorter, but you can always bet live as the tournament progresses, and you kind of get a feel for where they're at. But when I look at the top of the leaderboard right now, there's not really anyone I want to be married to at this point. Bryson obviously is going to catch everybody's eyes. DJ was shooting well, but I haven't seen anyone at the top of the leaderboard that I really like enough at this point to pounce on live. So I think I'm going to stick with my guys for now and then see how today goes. And then maybe, later on today or early tomorrow before they tee off, I might look to play someone live to win if I think somebody there has an opportunity to beat out, whoever's at the top of the leaderboard. But right now, I just feel like there's been a lot of variance. We saw Garcia have the huge day one, and then we see a lot of people coming out of nowhere, which I think is pretty typical for this type of tournament. But there's just too much going on right now for me to really get married to anybody live to win this thing outright.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, you sound much better now. Awesome. You there? I think I lost you.
Yeah, sorry. I had to get out of the basement, man. So breakfast. It's hard to take some win shares today. Too much volatility still. I like the one with Ron that I'll pounce on today just to take, because if he has a hot day, you're not going to get him. He's going to go down to 4 or 5 tomorrow, even lower. So that's one I'll take today, and then I'll watch and see how it balances out the rest of today, early tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to keep an eye on Rom. See how he starts shooting today. Maybe midday today. If he starts to have some success, maybe that's something I'll look at. Hopefully the odds don't shorten too much. But listen, it's definitely been a fun tournament to say the least. I mean, day one was just hysterical with all the carnage, but also, I thought it's fascinating in the sense of, how you saw some of the top players really attack the course. A guy like Bryson, wasn't really sure how he was going to play there. I thought he's looked phenomenal so far. And then, you see some guys like Rory, completely flake out. But I think there were some big names that ended up on the wrong side of the cut.
Oh, no doubt about it. Xander Schauffele, one of my big guys this week that I really like, he just couldn't figure himself out. He had some struggles too. You had a lot of other big names. There was a funny clip, if you got to see it. Ian Poulter was eating lunch with Rory McIlroy, Tyrrell Hatton, and who else was there? Oh, whatever it was. He just looked at the table and said, "We shot plus 29 today. The 4 of us, plus 29. We are Muppets."
Well, who's the guy? There was funny.
Someone was, 4 of the better players.
What was the guy's name that shot plus 20? Someone shot plus 20. I forget who it was. They were plus Kyle 20 Stanley. By themselves. Kyle Stanley, yes.
Kyle Stanley.
Incredible. Yeah. Incredible.
I think
that's a day to forget.
Well, I think, with the cool thing, and we'll wrap this up and go into our other stuff, but someone said there was an 83 or 85 and a 65. The variance was 20 shots on the first day, which is crazy, and that just tells you the quality of the golf course.
Yeah, Victor Hovland. Now Hovland fell victim to the cut as well, right? Did he make the cut? I don't think he made the cut. I think he was
had an interesting.
I think he finished plus 2. To be honest with you.
Yeah, he had an unfortunate situation on Thursday. He finished his round -2. They came back later and saw that he he had marked his ball for one of his competitors, and when he came back, he did not put his ball correctly at his mark, and they penalized him 2 strokes. So it took him from -2, 4 or 5 off the lead Thursday down to even. I think that got into his head a little bit the next day, and he was, pushing to get those strokes back. So he had a little unfortunate ruling, and you're right. I think it affected him.
Yeah, which is pretty funny because I think he's like the nicest guy in the world.
Yeah.
like he's like the last person you would expect to be out there trying to cheat or gain an edge that way. Patrick Reed, okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Haha. But Victor Hovland definitely not, and usually has a pretty good lightheartedness about him. So maybe it was something that he took really personal, felt really embarrassed, and it kind of affected him the rest of the way. It looks like Dan checking in. He liked Fleetwood and Finau. Yeah, Finau always Finau just had a terrible day one.
Yeah. He did, and he couldn't recover. I mean, he shot +6, I think, and then he started off with a birdie on the second hole yesterday, but just couldn't get it going. When you have to press the gas every hole, it's hard.
Yeah. It really is. It really is. So I mean, listen, it's going to be insane, I think, today. So this is definitely one of the events that I'm going to have on. During the day, I'll probably go back and forth flipping between all of them. But let's give the people what they wanted. We'll get into our 3-play buffet, 3 picks for everybody, our top 3 plays of the day. And Dave, I'm going to let you kick things off. For your picks. How did you do last week? Was last week a winner or?
Yeah, 2-1. And got you another golf pick, which was solid in there. So it's just fell a little short. And then once again in FCS, got Coach Prime, but
yeah, that was a huge win.
Yeah, but JMU let me down.
Yeah, that was a huge win. JMU is a team that just came out, looked dominant. They got the #1 ranking after week 1 when North Dakota State, the Bisons, fell, and then they almost took their foot off the gas in 2 games in a row. Really unable to cover, just kind of mulling around. I was surprised when the rankings came out. I'm not sure do they have them or they still are ranked #1. Weber State's ranked #2. FCS, lots of action today. I definitely have that in my 3 plays. The main thing, let's talk about the local teams real quick. Villanova and Delaware got started last week. Nova, a team that was top 5 ranked in the FCS. They were a team that I think a lot of people were excited about. They were like, hey, you know what? These guys can come in here. They can make some noise. They can contend when the playoffs come. They're probably going to get one of those at-large bids, right? Superstar quarterback Daniel Smith returning, but they lost a lot of people. They lost a lot of people to transfers in the fall who went out to bigger schools because the fall teams were playing. And, it really looked like it hurt them in week 1. The offense was not what it was supposed to be. They beat they only won by a field goal. And Delaware, on the other hand, a team that, the Blue Hens, a lot of people didn't have expectations for. They boat raced Maine. I think it was 37-0. They're actually ranked 25 now. So they definitely got some people's attention with that huge win. So it was funny because coming into this season, everybody's talking about Villanova. Everyone just figured Delaware kind of middle towards the end of the standings, like not real, excited about that team. They played a Maine team that stinks. Don't get me wrong, but 37-0 got a lot of people's attention. Huge game for Delaware. So it's going to be interesting to see how both these local teams play today.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting. Like you said, high hopes for Villanova. Delaware, whatever. I mean, they're going to be decent. And then you see last week is a total opposite. So yeah, it's going to. I'm interested to see how they come out today. First game for both teams, so maybe it was just one of those, knock that, rust off.
Knock the rust off. Yeah, 100%. Hopefully. I mean, I think today is going to say a lot for them because you're going to find out, was it knocking off the rust or did losing all those players really hurt them? And do they not have, the ability to come back and really, warrant that top 5 ranking? They did move down to number 6 in the rankings, so they're no longer in the top 5, but 6 is still definitely good enough to get them an at-large bid if they're able to handle business. But FCS, always fun. Had a rough week. to be honest with you, went 1-2 in my games last week. Actually 1-3. I was actually 1-3. So it was the first real losing week that I had. And it was just two games I thought that I lost that I really thought I was on the right side. I had New Hampshire on Friday night, and listen, they were right there. They had the ball right in the red zone, inside the 10-yard line with a minute left, down by 4. They couldn't convert. They couldn't get in. And then, Southeast Louisiana really hurt me. They were a team that I expected to blow out McNeese State. They didn't. You know what I mean? They just kind of hung around there. And I think that speaks a little bit as to, how good Southeastern Louisiana is. I think that Sam Houston State was getting a lot of credit for beating them 2 weeks ago. And now I'm looking at it and I'm like, I don't know if they should have so much credit. That team didn't look so great against McNeese State. So, as the season progresses, it's going to be a lot of fun. But I definitely have my eyes on Villanova and Delaware. But let's get into our 3 plays. So let's get into the 3 picks. That's what the people want. I went 1-2 last week. Not good. The only win I think was Sterling, which was by DQ. Which, to be honest with you, I didn't deserve to win. I know my hockey play missed. The UFC play ended up hitting with Sterling, but I'm not even sure what my third play was, to be honest with you. But
it was
I know Louisville. Yep, it was Louisville, and Louisville was a miss.
Virginia.
So it was 1-2. With Sterling, thank God for that DQ. The refs got me away from the donut. Definitely didn't want to be 0-3 for the people, but I got 3 good ones today, and I feel very comfortable with them. But Dave, I'm going to let you kick things off here.
All right, yeah, I'm going to go to FCS, and the one game I was starting to eye up, and I'm really trying to handicap here, is I'm going to go back to the one team that I actually got right last week, but was on the losing side of that game, and that's Grambling State. They play a Prairie View team today that's, I think, not that good. They're a 2.5-point fave today. They actually were able to run the ball pretty effectively last week against Coach Prime's team, putting up near 200 yards. The quarterback, Hickbottom, very good. He led the team in rushing, but he also completed 75% of his passes, too. So they're dynamic offensively. And the key for them will be, can they slow down Prairie View? And in that sense, it's a bad team. This is the time to get healthy. This is the time to get back on track. This is time to get your focus. And I think Grambling State is going to be undervalued today, coming off that. They were, what were they, 9 or 10-point faves last week and lost outright. And now you're getting them at a light price. So I like them to rebound today. I'll take them -2.5. I'm thinking, I see that's the latest line I had. I don't know if you have any different drums, but that's the one FCS game I'm looking at.
Perfect. Let's go get that win, man. I like it. I like your approach in this matchup. You take the team, you're comfortable with them, you know what you got, and you're going and you're taking them at the 2.5. I think that's a great number. Excited for that one. Ton of FCS action. I'm going to give you my FCS. Definitely made my 3 play. So I'm going to go with that one first. I will kick it off. And in FCS, I'm going to talk about the Southern Illinois Salukis, a team that I was on last week. They came through, they skimmed the bye and got a cover. Got a little bit of surprise in that one. Part of the handicap was Youngstown State's inability to score and how the offense was dead. So we were happy laying the points there. Laid 6.5. They ended up winning by 8. I actually had the game at 7.5, so it was a massive sweat for me. But we ended up getting the win. Youngstown State ended up changing their quarterback, which causes a lot of variance and had a lot more success offensively. So you'll see that early in the season. That was something that almost got us, but the Salukis were able to get the win. I'm going to take the Salukis here, +4.5 against Northern Iowa. 2 top 10 teams here. Northern Iowa ranked number 4. Southern Illinois ranked number 10. Could be down at 4 and 1 spots. I got it at 4.5. I would play it 4 or 4.5. Doesn't matter. The Salukis are 2-1. Their only loss was week 1 to North Dakota in a game that was pretty even on the stat sheet. Again, box score, you look at the teams, they played each other pretty tight. You look at yards per play, you look at total yards gained, everything pretty even. Southern Illinois lost the game because they turned the ball over a handful of times, right? And you can't do that in football and expect a win. So they come out the next week, they smoke North Dakota State. Right, the Bisons put up 38 points on a very good defense. They shook up the entire FCS. And again, they covered for us last week against Youngstown State. Wasn't pretty, but they got the cover. And what I liked in that game is they had to score a lot because they got down very early. I think it was 12-0. They got down early in that game, and the offense looked really good. And I think that's going to be a huge factor in today's game because Northern Iowa is a team ranked number 4, 2-1, lost week 1 to South Dakota State, right? And then came back and got 2 wins. They got a shutdown defense. The defense is the strength of their team. They win by running the football and kind of playing that dogfight down in the trenches, low scoring type of football, very weak at quarterback. Don't like the quarterback. They got an explosive wide receiver that they can't even really get maximum value out of. Their 3 games this season, they scored 20 in their week 1 loss. They scored 21, and then they scored 20 again in week 3. So 20, 21, and 20. And this is a game that has a total of 38.5, right? So you have an offense that really can't score that well in Northern Iowa. And we have a game that's lined at a 38.5 point total. I like the Salukis here. I'm getting 4.5 with a top 10 team, and they showed the ability to score points when they need to. Like I said, 30 last week, 38 the week before against a good North Dakota State defense. So if I can get that type of team with 4.5, I think there's a ton of value. So I'm going to take the dog here. I'm going to take the Salukis plus 4.5 against Northern Iowa. I think they could win this game outright, but I'm just happy to take the 4.5 because Northern Iowa likes to play tight, close game. I think this could easily be a field goal game. In that case, win or lose, I'm going to capitalize with the 4.5.
Nice. I like the pick. You're good in FCS. I'm going to tail that one for sure. I'm going to move to my second game. And, we talked a little bit about college basketball today, about, saving this one for this part of the segment. And I'm going to go down to the SEC on the hardwood, and I'm going to look at one of their conference semifinals today. I'm going to look at Arkansas versus LSU. Now, Arkansas, they've won 9 in a row coming into this game. They split with LSU this year. LSU got the better of them early in the season, and just recently, Arkansas got them back. These are 2 teams pretty equal, 2 and 3 in the conference. But, Arkansas is up to 8th overall in the nation and really playing good basketball. Won 12 of their last 13. Their one loss was by 4 to Oklahoma State. And we all see what Oklahoma State is starting to do. It really turned around for this Arkansas team when they got their doors blown off by Alabama, 90-59 in mid-January. And since then, they really were able to, turn the tide, per se, after getting beat by the Tide, and really get rolling. And today, I think that continues. You can get them in a couple different numbers. I've seen it as low as 2.5. It's hovering around 3.5 right now. It's been as high as 4. But the key to this for me is LSU played last night. They have to turn around in less than 24 hours in a game when their star players all played more than 24 minutes. I think that, and LSU brings a lot of offense. They play fast. And to be able to do that and come back on such a short notice against an Arkansas team that won yesterday afternoon, so they had a little more rest time. Their star player, Moody, only scored 6 points yesterday against Missouri, so he's going to be foaming at the mouth. I really like Arkansas in this spot today. I think they're playing a tired LSU team. They've won 9 in a row. There's a lot to like about Arkansas. I'll take them today as my play in the hoops, NCAA.
Nice, the Razorbacks. Gotta love it, man. Listen, I'm going to kick it over to a sport, the frozen pond, which I've been very successful betting these periods. First period over, second period under, is all that good stuff. So my second pick is going to be from the NHL, and this is one that I really like. This is first period spread we're going to do with the Edmonton Oilers. Cashed in on this last night against Ottawa. Cashed in on it earlier in the week. This Edmonton team, you can get -0.5 in the first period. So they just got to be winning after the first period. Plus 150. I think this is tremendous value as they're taking on the Vancouver Canucks. This is 2 teams in the NHL that are the top 2 teams in scoring in the first 10 minutes, right? So, we're going to see goals. These teams come out firing. Both teams are ranked 3 and 4 respectively in first period overs, right? So defense isn't great, but they score a ton of goals in the first period, right? That's what we want to see. We want to see a lot of action in this first period because the last thing we want is 0-0 at the end of first period. We end up losing that bet, right? Now you can look at that and you can say, okay, well, why don't I take the first period over? You really could, but you're not going to get plus 150 there, right? You're going to end up with minus 200. I'm not sure exactly what the odds are, but I am sure that they're not as advantageous as plus 150. And I think that's where the value is, because you're taking the Oilers here at plus 150 to outscore Vancouver in what should be a very high scoring first period. Edmonton, most goals in the NHL. Vancouver, second worst goals against in the NHL, second worst in shots allowed. So I think in this type of game script, with this type of action, a lot of goals, I'm willing to bet at plus 150 at that price that Edmonton ends up with more pucks in the net after the first period. I think is a great play.
Nice, nice. I like the pick. You have been really good in eyeing up those hockey lines and finding those, advantages, I'll say, against the book. So let's see if you get one back tonight. I really like that. I'm going to polish off my 3-pack. And, I always like to end some of the matchups out there that were attractive earlier are already off and playing. So I'm going to go to the NBA. And NBA, do a little decent, hit some winners here recently. But there's a team that I'm eyeing up. They're fun to watch. And they've been playing a little bit better basketball of late. And that's the Charlotte Hornets. So you can get them in a couple areas, but tonight they're favored by minus 2 points against the Toronto Raptors. And the Raptors team that is playing a lot better basketball, got a little healthy over the break, getting Lowry back. And it just seems like a line that's a little shaky to me. You're taking, a team like the Hornets who are now up to 500, well into the playoff picture in the Eastern Conference. They're home. They're excitable. They're young. They got LaMelo Ball. They got PJ Washington, Miles Bridges. They really, and Scary Terry is always a threat. Gordon Hayward. They have really rounded out this team nicely, and I like them tonight. This line shows me something. They struggled against Detroit the other day, but I think that's fine because Detroit stinks. Sometimes just scraping out those wins versus bad teams shows me a little more than blowing them out. And I like the Hornets tonight. I'm going to take them minus the 2 at home against the Raptors.
Love it. Love it. Hornets are a fun team, man. And I'll tell you what, Gordon Hayward, I think really found a spot where he fits very well, with that team. A lot of talk, last in Boston with about how, he just didn't fit. And I think he kind of got scapegoated for a lot of the chemistry issues and some of the coaching issues that team has had. Obviously, without him not looking that great, got boat raced by Brooklyn the other night. Just you can kind of see the gap between the top teams in the Eastern Conference and some of them middling teams that they could be facing in the second round. But love the Hornets, man. They're a fun team, and they're only going to get better. Scary Terry, Ball, Gordon Hayward, they're a lot of fun to watch, man.
They really are. And the ball kid's good. I mean, I'm not saying anything.
He's the best ball of them all.
He's special.
Yeah.
Oh,
no, 100%. 100%. So I'm going to round out my 3-play buffet with the UFC, right? Fights tonight, right? Not the most exciting card, but it is a card. It is fights. I got ESPN Plus. I can't wait to watch them. So I'm going to be tuned in. But listen, I'm playing the main event. I'm playing Edwards, but big number minus 275. Not going to give that one out. The fight that I'm going to give out here is Dan Ige minus 150 against Gavin Tucker. I like Ige. I mean, Ige's a guy who won 8 in a row. Before getting banged up by Calvin Kattar. I was on Kattar at minus 300 in that fight, but there was a lot of sharp money, a lot of steam coming in the day of the fight on Ige that kind of made me nervous, to be honest with you. Like, I had the favorite. I had it locked in. I thought it was a good price, because I really didn't want to go above minus 300 because then you're really, looking at a high, win probability. So didn't really want to do that. Was happy with my price, and then a lot of money came in on Ige. The odds went down. I thought I was on the wrong side. Kattar tuned him up, but Ige just isn't ready because he didn't have the striking to kind of deal with a guy with slick boxing like Kattar. But he is a scrappy fighter. He has good takedowns, and his striking is improving. He's just one of those gamers that is always going to give 100%. He's always going to be in the fights. So I like him in this spot against Tucker. Tucker's a guy, 34 years old. He's making a run late in his career. He has a diverse skill set to do a lot of different things, but I thought he really struggled, the last time he lost when he got pressured. And that's something that Ige can do. It's something that he likes to do. Ige is not the most technical striker, but he likes to bring pressure, likes to bring the heat. And I think that Ige can make up for the lack of reach that hurt him against Cater in this type of fight with Tucker, with this type of opponent. Tucker could try and bring him down and work some submissions. He does have, like I said, a wide array of skill set, but he's one of those guys that's really not great at anything. And I think it's going to be a real scrappy fight. But I think Ige's a gamer, a little more talented. It lined at minus 150. I think it's a good price here for Dan Ige. So I'm going to take him tonight in UFC Vegas 21. Dan Ige is my play, to get the win over Gavin Tucker.
I like it. He's on the the card that starts at 10, right? He's like the second or third fight going off.
Yep.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
good. So I'll still be up.
Yeah, it should be it should be a fun fight, to be honest with you, because like I said, both these guys are kind of, they're not ultra talented in one specific area. Ige's got nice takedowns. It'll be interesting to see if he utilizes those or if he just tries to pressure Tucker on the feet. But I just think that Ige is the better fighter. And I think he's a more scrappier fighter, and there's a big age difference. And one of the things in the UFC is you have to look out for is that, Tucker's looked great, and he's kind of finally found his stride late in his career. But, you really got to be careful when you're taking these older fighters. And, I like Ige here. I think he gets the job done.
Nice. I love it. I'm going to tail that. Hopefully we'll be up a couple bucks by the time that fight goes off, and maybe even polish it off with a win. That's our latest bet of the night.
Absolutely. So before we get out of here, let's recap our three plays. I'll start, what Dan Ige just talked about, right? Then we have the Edmonton Oilers in the first period spread -0.5. So we just need them to win the first period. You can get that at plus 150. So, you get a minus 150 play, and I give you a plus 150 play. And then, of course, the FCS matchup I like is the Southern Illinois Salukis plus 4.5. It might be a 4 now, depending on, your sports book, but you should be able to get it above a field goal. That's really the number you want to be over, the key number 3 there with the Salukis.
Yeah, I like it, man. So I'm going to recap mine real fast. We had Charlotte Hornets tonight, -2. They're sitting there 18-18 in the Eastern Conference. Toronto's coming in 17-20. It's a bigger game for Toronto. But you can't teach that to young teams. And I really like them tonight to be fired up and try and stay, in a solid position in the Eastern Conference. And then looking into the NCAA hardwood, go with Alabama. Arkansas. I really like today against LSU. LSU coming as the tired team, played a tough, long game last night, has to turn around real quick. And to play a team that likes to, go with pace and put up 80 points plus a game, I'll take those Razorbacks and finally go with Grambling State in the FCS, trying to hit one of those. We'll see. It's been a tough struggle there. FCS has been very volatile, but I'm excited to see it starting to, I think the lines are starting to even out, and we're starting to really see where we can take advantage. So,
yeah, I think so. I definitely think so with the FCS. I think now that we're kind of getting into the swing, the teams kind of knocked the rust off already. And, these games become more important, right? Because I think the biggest factor that I touched on earlier with the FCS is, if you don't win your conference, there's only 6 at-large bids. 5 of the teams in the top 10 are in the Missouri Valley Conference. So, those at-large bids are going to be very scarce. So I think that you're going to see a lot of teams, even though it's earlier in the season, very focused and kind of understanding the importance of it. Hopefully we see the turnovers kind of decrease a little bit. That's been a huge factor. But you're really kind of starting to see is the teams play more. It helps you kind of determine, which games were just kind of like a letdown, a team playing down their competition versus a team that really might not be what they were supposed to be. We'll find out that with Sam Houston State today against Nicholls State, another battle 7 versus 12 in the rankings, where Sam Houston State only had one matchup against Southern Louisiana. And Southern Louisiana didn't look great last week against McNeese State, who stinks. I'm actually fading them against Lamar today. So it's going to be, as they play more games, you can kind of pick out, is a team really not as good as what they were sold to be, or was this just a letdown, them playing down to their opponent? And I think that's going to help a lot when handicapping these games.
Yeah, definitely. Grambling State Tigers, my day. Yeah, definitely got to take some Tigers over the Panthers today.
Oh, no worries. Perfect.
Yeah.
Listen, had an awesome time, dude. Run on 55 minutes, so and that just kind of gives you an idea of how much sports we have on the table today, and it's going to be a fun spring. I cannot wait. Plenty of college basketball. March Madness. We'll be back next week to talk all about it for sure. Wednesday night, make sure you tune in. We're going to be hitting the golf. We're teeing off on the next tournament, so make sure you join us there. Subscribe to the Heat Ratio Sports channel. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Make sure you follow us on Twitter during the day. We'll be giving out our plays, going back and forth. If you have any good plays, hit us up. We definitely want everybody's opinion. The more conversation, the better in regards to that. But hopefully everyone turns out as a winner today. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys on Wednesday night.